Okay, so cycloalkane is a cyclic structure counterpart of alkane. So this time it's no longer arranged in a straight chain or branch chain. Rather, cycloalkanes are in a cyclic structure. The general formula is CnH2n, just like for alkanes, N represents the number of carbon atom. The name of cycloalkane always starts with the prefix cyclo. So if there are four carbon atoms in a single bond, okay, so four means but, and the single bond uses a suffix ane, so that is butane. However, if that four carbon atom is arranged in a cyclic manner, we are affixing the word cyclo before the name butane. Okay, so laging tatandaan, lahat ng cycloalkane is arranged in a cyclic structure. Hence, their name should start with the word cyclo. Okay, so the simplest cycloalkane is cyclopropane. Wala tayong cyclomethane and cycloethane. Why? Because we could still remember meth. So if that is cyclomethane, meth stands for one carbon atom. So hindi ito pwede kasi hindi yan pwede kasi nga that hydrocarbon will only have one. So how will it form a ring or a cyclic structure if it only bears one carbon atom? Same is true for cycloethane. Walang ganitong hydrocarbon. Why? Walang ganyan. Kasi for that cycloethane, eth means two carbon atom in a single bond, A and E. Cyclic structure, hindi pwede tayong magkaroon or hindi mafo-form ang cyclic structure if there's only two carbon atom. Okay? So, laging tatandaan, walang cyclomethane at walang cycloethane. Rather, ang simplest ay cyclopropane. Having three carbon atoms. So, ito yung three carbon atoms arranged in a cyclic form such that it could be simplified in the line structure as this one. So, para siyang triangle. So, kapag organic chemistry at nakakita kayo ng triangle, hindi natin siya papangalanan na triangle. Rather, it will have an organic name of cyclopropane. So, if cyclopropane has three carbon atoms, it should follow the general formula CnH2n. So, if that is 3 carbon atoms, the hydrogen should be 6. Paanong naging 6? Ito yung 6 hydrogens niya. Okay? Bakit sagdadalawang hydrogen per carbon atom? So you could see, each carbon atom is bonded to two other carbon atoms. So say for example, this carbon atom on the top. That is bonded to the other two carbon atoms. So that's already 2 count for the bond. So to meet the 4 bond requirement, it still needs other 2, and that is accounted for hydrogen. That's why all carbon atoms in a cyclic structure or particularly in a cycloalkane, they bears 2 hydrogen. Okay, so all carbon atoms in a cycloalkane has 2 hydrogen. Okay, so to meet the CnH2n. So next example would be cyclobutane. So if you could still remember, but stands for 4 carbon atoms, but. So that is the 4 carbon atoms. A and E, these 4 carbon atoms are arranged or are connected with a single bond. And they are structured in a cyclic arrangement. So they have cyclo. Or this could be rewritten as a square, into which that intersection of square represents a carbon atom in a single bond. Okay, so still the molecular formula of cyclobutane is C4H8. Okay, so ang mga structure ng cycloalkane is related to the shapes. Okay, but we are not going to give the name of the shape. It's like in the mathematics, rather, or in yes, polygon or geometry. Okay, rather, ang gagamitin natin ay yung kanilang cycloalkane name. So if you will be seeing a pentagon with 5 sides, and on these intersections represents carbon atom with a single bond, so therefore that is cyclopentane. So we will have C5H10. So that's the C5H10. Okay, for cyclohexane will be a hexagon. So hexagon, C6H12. Okay, so those are the 12 hydrogens. So ulitin natin, hindi tayo maglalagay ng triangle, square, pentagon, hexagon, octagon, nonagon. Rather, we are going to name them as cycloalkanes. Okay? Now, these are for simple cycloalkane. How about if there would be a substituents? Meron ng mga naka-attach dun sa ating ring system or ring cycloalkane. So, how are we going to name them? Still, the basics of naming an alkane would still apply to cycloalkane. Ano ba yung mga rules na yon? So, the alkyl substituent will be named alphabetically. So, parehas rin sila dun sa alkane. And then, the numbering system will still follow the rule that you have to come up with the lowest set. Ang bago lang dito sa naming ng cycloalkane is we should not forget to affix the word cyclo, okay, before the name of the parent chain. So, rule is if there's only one substituent, so isa lang yung naka-attach, it is not necessary to locate it by number kasi nga iisa lang naman siya. So, hindi na tayo naglalagay ng number. So, for this structure, so nakakakita tayo ng square. So, alam natin yung square na yan represents a cyclobutane. And this substituent attached to that cyclobutane, so yung isang line na yan, and that intersection represents, that ending represents one carbon atom. At naaral natin from our last previous discussion that if there's only one carbon atom as a substituent, it would be named as methyl. So as a whole, this structure is known as methyl cyclobutane. How about if there would be two ring substituent? Okay. Here, numbering system would apply. Paano natin siya ina-number? Hindi na left to right, hindi na right to left, rather clockwise or counterclockwise because of our ring structure. So, nakakakita tayo dito ng pentagon. So, that pentagon represents cyclopentane. Now, the carbon atom that is not included in the cyclopentane are this one and this one. And they are known to be substituent. Since the substituent is composed of carbon atoms represented in the line structure, so this would be alkyl. So ulitin natin, this represents one carbon atom, and for another substituent, so this intersection and that ending represents carbon atom. Okay, so if there's only one carbon atom, this would be named as methyl. And for these two carbon atom substituent, that would be named as ethyl. Okay? So now that we know the identity of these carbon atoms, okay, numberan na natin. Paano natin na numberan? Either clockwise or counterclockwise. So this could be carbon number 1 and this would be carbon number 2. Counterclockwise numbering, this would be carbon number 1 and that would be carbon number 2. So parehas lang. Parehas lang ang set. So pag ganito daw, you have to consider the higher alphabetical priority. Pag sinabing alphabetical priority, sino bang nauuna sa alphabet? Kanina sabi natin, this is methyl. And this is ethyl. So, mas prioritize si ethyl. So, therefore, we are going to have carbon number 1 for ethyl and 2 for methyl. That's why the name would be 1-ethyl, 2-ethyl cyclopentane. So, kung i-drawing natin ito, 1-ethyl, 2-methyl cyclopentane. So, a cyclopentane. So, that's a pentagon. On the first carbon atom is, so pwedeng dito rin natin lagay. First carbon atom is a ethyl and on the second carbon is methyl. So, parehas lang din yan. Dalawang yan. Now, how about if there would be 3 substituent or more? Okay, so still you have to number it clockwise or counterclockwise. Choose the one that will give you the lowest set of numbers, and if they are equal, then alphabetical listing or alphabetical priority will determine which direction will be used. Okay, so for this case, this is carbon number 1, 2, and 3, but there's only one carbon atom here, so that is methyl. Same is true for this one, that's methyl. This has 3 carbon atoms, so therefore this is propyl. So alphabetical listing, M has priority over P. So therefore 1, 2, dimethyl. Why we are using di? Kasi nga dalawang methyl group yan. Always bear in mind, if you are using the di, you should have 2 locant and 3 propyl for the last substituent. The name of the pairing chain is cyclohexane because of the hexagon ring structure. Okay. For the properties of cycloalkane, being compared to their alkane counterpart, they will have a higher boiling point, greater density, and higher melting point. So if you're going to compare propane C3H8, that's the propane, versus cyclopropane, that is C3H6. Sinasabi nitong property A and B, the cyclopropane will have higher boiling point, higher melting point, and greater density as compared to their alkane counterpart C3H8. Kahit na parehas sila ng carbon atom, the cycloalkanes will have these properties. Okay? Now, for all cycloalkanes also are almost totally insoluble in water because of their polarity. And cyclopropane and cyclobutane are gases. Cyclopentane and cyclohexane exist as liquids. Generally, all cycloalkanes are relatively inert. Pag sinabi nating inert, they don't usually, or they are not reactive. They don't have any reactions with any other substances. And just like an alkane, cycloalkanes uh, could be found in petroleum deposits. And as I made mention a while ago, simplest cycloalkane is cyclopropane. Okay?